Hello, welcome in. Happy Monday, everybody. Hopefully, you all are doing well. We are here to talk Monday Night Football. We're going to recap a little bit of what went on yesterday. We'll do the rest of that tomorrow. And I'm sure we have some other stuff to discuss as well. If you're in the chat, let me know how you guys are doing. Keaton, we'll definitely talk Sam Darnold for sure. I guess we can start there in the DFS streets. Had a decent day on DraftKings. My DraftKings cash team was fine. Had Jacoby Brissett, which we talked about on the stream yesterday. Ended up playing Jamar Chase on that team, which it didn't really matter. But I feel like I was pretty firm on the stream yesterday that I liked other guys over Jamar Chase for tournaments, but he was 65% owned in cash games. So I still feel like that was the right play there. But for my cash team, scored around 155 points. Ended up playing Jacoby Brissett, Rico Dowdle, Jalen Warren, Jamar Chase, Wan'Dale Robinson, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, Chase Brown, and the Titans defense. So I had a Jacoby Brissett double, which ended up working out there. And then my best tournament team was a Jacoby Brissett team as well. And man, got pretty unlucky. I came top 100 in a bunch of tournaments with this team. It was Jacoby Brissett, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, Quentin Johnston, Jacoby Myers, Michael Wilson, George Kittle, Trey McBride, and the Packers defense. So, Brissett, huge game, almost 27 DK points. McCaffrey had 35. Michael Wilson had 36. George Kittle had 25, and McBride had 30. So, that's just a great start. And scored 176 points with Quentin Johnston getting a flat 0. Jacoby Myers had 11, which is okay. But Quentin Johnston getting a 0 and Josh Jacobs getting injured and scoring 4 points. To add insult to injury, quite literally, he was stuffed at the goal line 2 times prior to getting hurt and exiting the game. So that team could have done really, really well had I either got a better game from those two or, chose a different path there. But it was a decent day yesterday in the DFS streets. Betting wise, I didn't really take any sides or anything. I had one money line parlay that did not win. Had the Quentin Johnston touchdown, and he got an end zone target late in that game, and it popped loose when he hit the ground. So could have got there with that touchdown, but that didn't work. So overall, kind of a not good betting day, but DFS was fine. In terms of the Sam Darnold stuff, though, Keaton, that was my favorite spot on the slate, DFS-wise. I loved the Sam Darnold stuff, and he just picked a bad time to play his worst game of the season. I mean, far and away his worst game of the season. I will say, though, from a Seattle perspective, they should feel pretty good about that game, to be honest. I know they lost, but if you look at it from the angle of they kind of dominated the game. They had more time of possession. They got the worst possible game from Sam Darnold. He had 0 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Even with that, they only lost by 2 points, and they had a chance to win the game at the end. So, if I was the Seahawks or a Seahawks fan, I'd still feel pretty encouraged about that. Terrible game from Sam Darnold. Still were in the game. Just shows how good the Seahawks defense is. I think coming into the season, I thought there was a chance that, they were top 5, 6 in the NFL in terms of overall defensive units. And they've certainly played that way for the first 11 weeks of the season. I mean, to be able to shut down the Rams, to which they did. Kyron Williams had a good day, but Matt Stafford, 15 of 28 for 130, 2 touchdowns, no picks. They did as good as you could do against Puka Nacua, 7 for 75. Nobody else had over 25 yards on the entire Rams team. So, if you're a Seahawks fan or just someone that has Seahawks futures, I would feel pretty good about that game. I do agree, Keaton, have to be afraid of Darnold in the big games for sure. And last week I made that TikTok and I said, here's the 5 teams I think can win the Super Bowl right now. I had Seattle on that list, but I had them I think I had them 4th, and I said, can Darnold get it done? I don't know. That's definitely the conversation that needs to be had, but overall, I think the team is good enough to win with Darnold. And when you this kind of happened last year, like Sam Darnold played great for the beginning part of the season with the Vikings, and then when they got down to it in the playoffs and the last couple weeks of the season, he really struggled for Minnesota, and that cost them. I don't know if it's the same situation. Like, obviously, you have to think about if Darnold can get it done or not, for sure. But at the same time, I think it's a little bit of a different personnel situation. And I like Kevin O'Connell. I've always defended Kevin O'Connell, but I think I'd rather have Clint Kubiak if I'm Sam Darnold. I think it probably has been a little bit more of a mesh. So I don't know. Well, it remains to be seen. We're going to get the Seahawks in big games, so we're going to get these questions answered. But I totally understand anyone that has questions about Sam Darnold being able to win a big game. I 100% agree with that. But I don't know if it's the same situation. They're going to win this week. They play the Titans, the Seahawks, that is. Then they're home against Minnesota. They have a home game against the Colts. They host the Rams, which is a primetime game. Right, I think it's the week before Christmas. They host the Rams, and like I said, home against Minnesota, home against Indy. They host the Rams. They play the 49ers in the last week of the season. We'll see kind of what goes on there, but we're going to get the Seahawks in some big games, and hopefully we do get answers to that question. But coming out of it, I feel pretty good about the Seahawks. Like, probably, I think they if you replay that game, like, they probably win that game like 6 or 7 times. I'm going to be honest. It just happened to be one of the ones where they didn't. And I'm someone that's high on the Rams too. I think the Rams are arguably the best team in the NFC right now, but I think the Seahawks played better than them as a whole. Like, team as a whole, the Seahawks outplayed the Rams yesterday. Sam Darnold just cost them. And, that could happen again in the playoffs for sure, but we will see. Other stuff that jumps out from yesterday. I mean, the Panthers, some of my futures are kind of struggling. I had Bears to miss the playoffs in a futures parlay, which is going to burn me. I'll get to the Bears in a second, but I do have the Panthers to make the playoffs at a pretty good number. I think like around 3-1, and they definitely have a chance. So kind of rooting for them. Bryce Young, I've always defended Bryce Young. If you guys watch the streams, you know that. He had a big game yesterday. Overtime win. He threw for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns. One of his best games as a pro, I would say, passing. And most importantly, what stuck out to me from the Panthers game is Bryce Young finally succeeded in just getting the ball to his best offensive player, which is Tetairoa McMillan. 8 from 130 and 2, biggest game of his career for him. So really like to see that. For the Panthers. And the Falcons are in a rough place right now. They lost Michael Penix basically for the remainder of the season, it sounds like. Drake London went down with an injury. He's going to miss at least a game, I think, as well. So, look, I told you on stream last week, I thought the next coach to be fired would be Raheem Morris of the Atlanta Falcons. And that could certainly hold up, because I don't see the Falcons stringing together much more wins with kind of the situation that they have been thrust into. And True Love, you said, what's next for Atlanta? They run it back? I don't know. I think they're probably going to change some stuff on the coaching staff. If we're looking at next season, I do think they'll come back with Penix. I do, but it's like they're in a rough spot, man. They really went all in to compete this season. First year of Michael Penix. They have Bijan Robinson healthy. They have Drake London healthy. They mortgaged some of their future picks to go out and address the pass rush, because that was their biggest weakness last year. And for the vast majority of the season, their defense has been fine, but their offense has not. It's really, really struggled at times. And they're going to be in an interesting spot this offseason. I do think they'll shake some stuff up on the coaching staff. But I mean, they don't have a first round pick, I'm pretty sure. So yeah. Speaking of that, if we just look back at that trade, let me find what was the exact trade here. The Rams traded let me see, or the Falcons rather. Let me see. Okay, so they gave up their second round in 2025 and their 2026 first round pick to the Rams in exchange for number 26 overall. So they traded 46 and then their one next year to move up to 26. And man, if you're the Rams, you got to be feeling pretty good right now because the Falcons stink. So the Rams are in a spot where they're going to probably go out and compete for the Super Bowl. And they're going to have a top, I don't know, what's the projected order right now? They're going to have a top 10 pick in the draft. Let's see. What is the current order? Yeah, right now the Rams have the 8th overall pick. And like I just said, I don't know how many more games the Falcons are going to win. Let's look at their schedule here. When we've seen Kirk Cousins this year, he's been abysmal. So they play the Saints in New Orleans this week. They could lose that game. Look ahead line, we have the Saints plus 1.5. Pick them plus 1.5 on FanDuel right now for the Saints. They're -1 or -1.5 everywhere else. If that 1.5 is still there on FanDuel, I may hit that right now. Let's see. I think the Saints can win this game. Yeah, they're still plus 1.5. All right, first bet of the Week 12 slate. We're going to take the Saints plus 1.5. They're at home. But anyways, I think the Falcons can lose that game. Jets could go either way. It is in New York. Then they play the Seahawks, probably going to lose. Play the Bucks, probably going to lose. Play the Rams, probably going to lose. Cardinals could go either way. I don't know. The Rams are going to get a high pick for free. It's actually crazy. Interesting. But yeah, I could see them switching some stuff up on the coaching staff there pretty soon. Let's see what else stuck out to me. Bears, I'll get to in a second. Bills beat up on the Bucks. Hey, if you guys have followed along, you know I love Sean Tucker. Shout out to Sean Tucker. Huge game for our guy, Sean Tucker. Love to see it. He needs to get more of an opportunity. He's clearly better than Rachaad White. He's very, very good. I don't know. Sean Tucker needs more of an opportunity. Whenever he's gotten a chance, for the most part, he has produced. So love to see that for Sean Tucker. 49ers came out and dropped in 41 points. They're finally healthy. Brock Purdy back, McCaffrey, Kittle, Jennings, all those guys healthy. Looked pretty good on offense. I don't understand how the Cardinals weren't in that game more, though. They had way more yards than the 49ers. Jacoby Brissett had 450 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. I mean, Michael Wilson, 15 catches for 185 yards. Trey McBride, 10 for 115 and a touchdown. Dortch had 6 for 66 and a touchdown. I don't really understand how the Cardinals didn't score more than 22 points, but that was an interesting game, to say the least. If you are tapped into the season-long stuff and, the kind of article I put out, I think we're in a really, really good spot. If you drafted similar teams to me, we're in a really good spot down the stretch of the season here, getting hot at the right time. I have George Kittle on every single season-long team. I have Jamison Williams on every single season-long team. And both of those guys are coming on right when we need it. Kittle is back healthy, producing. Jamison Williams has been cooking ever since Dan Campbell took over the play calling. So Chase Brown's been coming on a little bit too. I have a lot of him. So I think I can make a run at a lot of my leagues this year. I'm pretty excited for the playoffs now that we actually have some of our guys playing good. And I know a lot of you that, watch the streams and stuff draft similar, and I'm sure you guys have plenty of George Kittle along with me. So this has been a really, really good couple of weeks there. As far as the Bears stuff goes, and then the Chiefs lost. I don't know what's up with that. Like, they need to win out. They're way better than the Broncos. I don't understand how they lose that game. But look, at the same time, as good as I think the Chiefs are, none of this is going to matter if they get in the playoffs. Like, that's a whole nother story. But the Chiefs ran super hot on one-score games for multiple seasons, and you can see that starting to correct now, right? Like, they haven't been that good in one-score games this season. They just lost one yesterday. They lost a one-score game to the Jaguars earlier this season, 31-28. They lost to the Eagles early on in the season. It was a one-score game. They lost by 3. They lost to the Chargers. It was a one-score game. So you can kind of see, like, eventually this stuff does catch up to you. Even when you have Patrick Mahomes, you can't avoid it for long. But the Chiefs need to win out. They are home against the Colts this week. That's a tough game. They got to win. They got to go beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Texans, Chargers, they play the Broncos again at home. They get the Titans in there, and they get the Raiders. So the Titans and Raiders, I'll say, is 2 wins. So that's going to get them to 7. They got to win, like, at least, like, 4 of these other ones. They're still minus 220 to make the playoffs, but yeah, Kevin, Pearsall versus Parker Washington didn't matter, as it turns out. I hope you had a good week. Overall, it was a good week for me. I think I won all my season-long matchups. Shout out to George Kittle for that one. But yeah, Pearsall will be fine. I think, that was, he's coming back slowly, but I think he'll be okay moving forward. And Parker Washington is going to take a hit when Brian Thomas Jr. is back. He didn't have a great game yesterday, but he's been an option with Travis Hunter out, and then with Brian Thomas Jr. out. When BTJ comes back, I've talked about this, like, they seem inclined to play Tim Patrick, the Jaguars. He scored a touchdown yesterday. Parker is similar to Jacoby. Like, they're both kind of slot receivers. So I do think Jacoby Myers affects Parker Washington when Brian Thomas Jr. comes back. But we will see. Chiefs need to win out or close to it. Got to beat the Colts this week. That'd be a big win. What's early look ahead line for that one is Chiefs minus 3.5. I like it without the hook. Bet 365, the flat 3. I would be taking that, but don't really want to mess around with the hook too much. All right, let's talk about the Bears. Look, this Bears team, again, if you're a Bears fan and you're in the chat, I'm sorry. This team is not good. It's just not. They're in first place. They're, I think, 3rd in the NFC right now. This is the most fake good team I can remember. Like, the last few years, we talk about the Steelers being a fake good team, but everybody kind of knows that. Like, the Steelers have done the same thing for year after year. They grind their way into the playoffs, and then they get exposed. Like, everybody knows that. There are people that think the Bears are good, and the Bears fans, the Steelers fans are used to it by now because the same thing happens year after year after year. The Bears fans are not used to this, so they think they're good. And then there's other people that, I don't know, like, if they just love Caleb Williams or what, they think the Bears are good. The Bears are not good. It's one thing for a team to run really hot on turnovers for the season, and then the next year, you kind of see that regression come. We've seen it with Buffalo this year. Tons of turnovers on defense last year. Hasn't been the case this year. It's one thing for that to happen. It's one thing for a team to run hot in one-score games, and then, you kind of see that correction come the next year. Those types of things happen in football, very variant sport, one game a week, one bounce of the ball can dictate things, and eventually that stuff will even out, but teams are capable of running hot in those departments over the course of a season. I'm not denying that. It is a whole other story when the Bears are doing both at the same time, and on top of doing both at the same time, they're barely winning these games. have like no turnovers on offense. They force multiple turnovers a game on defense every single game. They have 6 more turnovers than any other team in the NFL. That is not sustainable. And for them to be generating turnovers at the rate they are and not giving up the ball on offense the way they are, they should be steamrolling these teams. They are getting extreme turnover luck and still barely winning these games. Look at their schedule. They beat the Raiders by 1. They beat the Commanders by 1. They beat the Vikings yesterday by 2. They beat the Giants by 4. Like, this type of stuff is not going to go on. It's just not. So, they play the Steelers this week. They can beat the Steelers. The Steelers stink. But we got the Packers twice coming. We got the 49ers coming. We got the Lions coming. We got the Eagles coming. I just don't see this like continuing. And if it does continue for the remainder of the regular season, I'll have a big play against them in the playoffs, I guess, because this type of stuff just can't go on forever. It just can't. And I don't believe that this is a good team, top to bottom. And like, they're not even beating good teams. Like, okay, we did this last week, but I'll go through it again. Who have they beaten? The Cowboys, not good. Raiders, not good. Commanders, okay. Like, Jaden Daniels played in that game, but the Commanders are a 3-win team. They beat the Saints, not good. Beat the Bengals, stink. Giants, terrible. Minnesota Vikings are not good right now, and J.J. McCarthy is not playing good football. So, did they have a single win that you feel good about? Which of these wins that the Chicago Bears have are you like, you could hang your hat on and be like, this is a good team? They haven't beaten a single good team. They played the Lions early in the season, got smoked. They lost handily to the Ravens. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. What case can you build that's a good football team? I don't see it. Do you meant Johnson over Peyton and Steichen right now, coach of the year? I would say, for me, I'd have to say Steichen would be like my pick, probably. I would put Mike McDonald in there. Those would be my 2 picks, I think. I think Steichen and Mike McDonald would be my 2 picks for coach of the year right now. But things can change. We still have there's still 6-7 games left in the season. So, a lot can happen. I'm sure Vrabel's probably up there too. I haven't checked the odds. I can't bet on coach of the year in Ohio, so I can't see the odds. But I'm sure Vrabel is probably up there too with how the Patriots have been playing. And it's like a feel-good story. It's like coming back to the team he played for and stuff. So I'm sure he's in there. All right, we'll talk more recap stuff tomorrow. If you guys have questions on anything, feel free to fire away. Let's get into this Monday Night Football game a little bit. I actually think that this isn't a good game. Like, the teams aren't good, but it should be a fun game when we look at it from that angle. Like, obviously, we know the Cowboys' offense is very good. It's a high total, 49.5 points. Their defense hasn't been good, so they've been giving up a lot of points too. So it should be a fun game. I don't know if it's a good game, but it should be a fun game. And I have quite a few bets that I took in this one, which we will talk about. One angle, I didn't lay the 3.5, but I think the Cowboys win this game. So you have the whole narrative of them, with the Nealand, passing away. You have like that whole narrative, but at the same time, it's like the Raiders are just terrible. And although the Cowboys defense stinks, especially their secondary, absolutely horrible, they get Overshown back, which I think is a big deal. Overshown's one of my favorite players in the NFL to watch. When I go back and rewatch games last year, I mean, he was one of the most impressive defensive players to me in all of football last year. I think Overshown is legitimately one of the best linebackers in football. So I think him coming back is a big deal for the Cowboys defense. It's not going to make them a good defense. That's not what I'm saying, but they're going from like the worst possible defense, them and the Bengals, to any sort of reinforcements is going to make a big deal. So I do think Overshown coming back makes a big deal for the Cowboys. They made some trades at the deadline. Again, this is not going to fix this defense. This is going to be a bad defense, but the addition of Quinnen Williams helps. Logan Wilson, I don't think he's like average, but an average linebacker is better than what they've been playing. And you also have Overshown coming back, like I said. So I think this is a spot where the Cowboys defense could play a little bit better. A, because they're facing the Raiders offense, and then B, they are getting some reinforcements there. So that's working in the Cowboys' favor. The narrative's working in the Cowboys' favor. Their offense is working. So the reason I say I haven't laid the 3.5, but when I sit down and think about the game, I wanted to take Cowboys team total over because I do expect them to have success offensively. I think they're going to score a lot of points tonight. But when I think about taking the Cowboys team total over, the pushback that I give myself is if I think the Cowboys are going to score a lot of points, for reference, their team total is 26.5. So, if I'm taking them over that, if I think they're going to score 27 to 30 points, we'll say, right? We'll put it in that range. I'll even say 34. So if I think the Cowboys are going to score 27 to 34 points tonight, do I think that the Raiders would then also be scoring, 24 to 31 points to cover that spread? Even against the Cowboys defense, I don't know if I can make a case that the Raiders are going to score 3 touchdowns and a field goal. So if that's the case, I think you're better off just laying the points with the Cowboys and playing it from that angle. What I'm going to do is I took Dak 225 passing yards and parlayed that with the Cowboys money line, and it pays plus 106 on FanDuel. I tried to do it on Bet365 and it was minus 105. And I was like, that can't be right. So I went to FanDuel plus 106 over there. So that's the first play I took tonight. Dak Prescott, 225 plus passing yards parlayed with the Cowboys money line. I do think the Cowboys will win this game, and I think they're going to have success offensively. From a prop perspective, touchdown perspective, all that, I think I am anointing this as George Pickens night. I know CeeDee Lamb is back, and Pickens he's kind of like, he hasn't had like a big game with Lamb playing. Most of it came when Lamb was out. But even with Lamb on the field, Pickens leads the team in end zone targets. And the Raiders play a lot of zone. They play a lot of cover 3. That works into George Pickens' favor quite a bit when we look at coverage splits. So I'm really high on Pickens tonight. I think he can have a big game. I think when I checked, Dallas is, or the Raiders rather, over 40% of their defensive snaps come in cover 3, and Pickens' numbers have, if you look like historically, like he's always been good against cover 3, but this season specifically, since he's joined the Cowboys, it's really, really strong numbers across the board against cover 3 coverage. So I am anointing this George Pickens night. I love to bet on George Pickens. He also owes me money. We took him in a primetime game last year. If you guys remember this, we took him first touchdown, and he caught the first touchdown, but 1 foot hit twice instead of 2 feet, and it got called back. So I think he's going to come correct and make us that money back tonight. So I took him anytime touchdown. On FanDuel, it is plus 145. I got it at plus 155 on Bet365. So George Pickens, anytime touchdown, plus 155. First touchdown, 10-1. This Pickens also fits my system that I talk about on the stream, where if a guy's numbers to score a touchdown are worse, his odds are worse on FanDuel versus other books. That sticks out to me because FanDuel is known for having the best touchdown odds. So, yeah, system play, George Pickens, good matchup. Love him tonight. I took him anytime. I took him first touchdown. I took him 2+ touchdowns. I took him over his yards, 64.5 yards on FanDuel. Sprinkled the 100+ yards. Big game coming for George Pickens tonight. Hopefully that's my favorite prop angle. I also took a stab at Ryan Flournoy touchdown. I think you have upside here. If the Cowboys are handily winning this game, he could get some garbage time action. But coming out of the Cowboys bye week, we have seen Ryan Flournoy's route rate go crazy at the expense of Kevontae Turpin. They really are not running Kevontae Turpin much at all anymore. He's going to get like an end around or like one design look a game. But outside of his special teams usage, he has not done anything. We are coming off a game where Ryan Flournoy ran a route on almost 70% of Dak Prescott's dropbacks. If you're telling me that someone is going to be on the field 70% of the time that Dak drops back in a 50 total indoors, and we're getting him at 6-1 to score a touchdown after he just scored a touchdown in the last game, you can sign me up for that. So Ryan Flournoy, 6-1 anytime, 35-1 first touchdown, took some stabs there. And then from a Raiders perspective, it has to be Trey Tucker for me. The Cowboys' weakness on their defense still is and will be always the rest of the season. Their secondary, they have nobody fast enough to keep up with Trey Tucker. He can get behind them for a big play. Geno Smith likes to throw the deep ball. Trey Tucker, anytime touchdown and first touchdown sprinkle would be my pick on the Las Vegas Raiders. But George Pickens is my favorite player tonight. I'm predicting a big game for him. So hopefully he comes through for us. How many games should Chase get? Yeah, if you have Jamar Chase in fantasy, he is going to get suspended for one game, I think, which will be this weekend. So you will not have him because he did, in fact, spit on Jalen Ramsey. I don't understand in today's day and age, why you would come out and lie. Like, if someone says he spit on me and you are adamant that you did not, you know that there's cameras everywhere. Like, they're just going to go back and look. What is the upside of lying about spitting? He was adamant after the game. He said, I didn't do that. There's cameras everywhere. What is the point of lying? Just own up to it. And yeah, we just got as I said that, we got the Schefter note. NFL suspended Bengals, Jamar Chase, one game. That was crazy. I literally said he is going to get suspended one game this week, and that notification hit. That was crazy. But yeah, that sucks for you if you have Chase in fantasy. You got to survive this week without him. It's good for T. Higgins, obviously. Good for Chase Brown, too, honestly. Also, Virginia Tech hired James Franklin, or is expected to. I think that's a good pickup for Virginia Tech. I think he will turn them into a contender in that conference. And I think he'll do great there. Look, James Franklin is not good in big games, but he's good at building up a program. And if I'm a Virginia Tech fan, I'd be feeling pretty good about hiring James Franklin. Overall, though, I think that does it for tonight. Hopefully we get a big game from George Pickens. I also need 26 points from Dak, Pickens, and Ferguson to advance in the Guillotine League. So hopefully they can get me 26 points. Yes, I still like KC versus the Colts. I will be betting them -3. Bet365, as you can see on my screen, has a flat 3. It's like 3.5 everywhere else. But I'm going to go hit that -3 after stream. So I already took 2. I'm taking 2 bets for week 12 after I didn't have any sides this past week. But Saints +1.5 and Chiefs -3. Good luck tonight if you are playing DFS, betting, or any of that fun stuff. I will be live tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We'll do some more recap stuff. We'll go through some season-long waivers and more. So have a good night, everyone, and I'll see you all tomorrow.